Hello, students. Today we will have the explanation of the chapter The Enemy of Vista's book, which is written by Pearl S. Buck. And today we'll have the explanation of this chapter from page number 29 to page number 31. Now, let's have the explanation of this chapter. Now, we finished last time and of the part 1, and I had told earlier that both the husband Sadao and the wife Hannah, they both were worried what would they be concerned. They were much more concerned about the servants. What would they tell the servants and how would they react actually. So they were worried about it. Now let's have this in the second part of the video that we are having of this particular chapter. Now let's move ahead and have the line by line explanation of this chapter. It goes something like this. We must simply tell them that we intend to give him to the police. And when such a thing was being said and such a thing arose from the brain of Sada, it simply they come into a conclusion that it would be better that that would be much more lovely. And this basically said by the wife Hannah. And she says ki we must simply tell them that we actually plan this person to give him to the police only. Now, as indeed we should do also, we must do also, Sadao, and we must think of our own children. And what about your position, Sadao? You must be much more worried about that also. You are a prestigious surgeon over here in Japan and you have a very good reputation over here. And what if you are just taken in such a situation or found in such a situation where you are found betraying your own country? So what would happen? You will be considered as a traitor in such a condition. Now it would endanger all of us in such a situation. It would threaten all of us in a situation. Hannah said, and if we did not give this man over as a prisoner of war, there is a certain chance that we will threaten our lives, and we will threaten our lives of our children also. Now, Sadao says certainly it's yes, and he agrees to it, what the wife said, and I would not think of doing anything else also. You are completely right, and thus they agreed together, and they lifted the man, and he was very light. He was very light, and just like a fowl is actually a domestic or any kind of a domestic bird, and that people generally have it. And when we say fowl, we generally say about the hens or the hens or the cock. And that had been actually half starved for a long time, it seems, until it's only feathers and skeleton. Not much is left in that. It means that this man was too thin. It means. Now, so his arms were hanging, and they carried him up to their house, up the steps into the side door of the house, which there was a gallery in the house and led to a side room over there. And this door opened into a passage, and down the passage they carried the man towards an empty room over there. And it had been the bedroom of Sadao's father, and Sadao's father was dead now. So they took him to this particular room of the house. Now, since his death had not been, and since after the death of Sadao's father, it had not been used, and they laid the man on the deeply matted floor. There was a lovely mat over there, and they placed this person who was injured, and the blood was oozing out of the body. They laid the person over there. Although a bit of work done by Moss was done to just stop the bleeding, that was happening over there, that was actually happening, and that's the thing. Now let's move ahead. Everything here had been Japanese to please the old man. The old man over here is the father of Sadao over here that is being talked about. But the Sadao's father is no more alive. Sadao's father is dead now in such a situation, and that is why they brought this man to this particular room, and it was closed. They generally kept it closed because the father was no more living, and that is why this room was kept closed. Now let's move ahead. Everything here had been Japanese to please the old man, and who would never let his own house sit on on a chair or asleep in a foreign bed. Now, this particular man, Sadav's father, was a true Japanese person, a patriot person who loved Japan and each and everything in his house. He just loved that each and everything should be of Japan only, and there should be nothing from any kind of foreign country. Now let's move here. Hannah went on to the wall and cupboards over there and slid back a door, back the door of a cupboard. And what happened? And took out a soft quilt over there, or duvet, or in Hindi we call it as razai. And she hesitated actually first because that was a lovely quilt, and the quilt was covered with flowered silk, and the lining was pure white silk. So it was a lovely piece of quilt, and that day actually she took it out to just cover this man who was lying down over there. And she murmured to herself, and she said, "He is so dirty." In distress, she said so. She murmured. So murmured means babble, to mutter, in distress, in pain. She didn't like giving this lovely duvet, actually quilt, to this person. Now, yes, he had better be washed. Sadav agreed, and if you will fetch hot water, I will wash him. And that's the thing also. So here she agrees that if you will get the water, if you will get the hot water, I can actually wash him. I cannot bear for you to touch him, Hannah said over here. And she said, we shall have to tell the servants he's here. Just because the servants live in the house only, and it was compulsory, it became compulsory to tell them that this man is in the house. And she said, we shall have to tell the servants he's here, and I will tell Yumi now. I will tell Yumi now, she can leave the children for a few minutes and she can wash him. And there was a maid over there, maid servant over there in the house of Sadav and Hannah. The name of this maid servant was Yumi, and Hannah was wanting that this man should be washed by Yumi. Now Sadav considered for a moment, let it be so. This is okay. This is good. Okay, that you do not, in this such a condition, you do not have to touch this person, and the work will also be done in such a situation. And he agreed so. And you tell Yumi, and I will tell the others. It's better you tell the Yumi. If you tell Yumi that she does this work of cleaning this man, and I'll tell the rest of the servants in the house. But the utter pallidness, or which is due to unhealthiness, or certainly just because the man is about to die, that is why that pallidness is over there in the body of this person who is found over there in a nearly dying state. Of the man's unconscious face, which seems insensible, and moved him first to stoop and checked his pulse. So Sadav, just because he was a doctor, he bent down and he started checking the pulse, as he was a doctor. So he was in a habit of checking the pulse rate, and he bent down and he felt the pulse of this person. It was faint, but it was there. It means this man was actually alive. And it was faint, but it was there. He put his hand against the cold man's breast, or chest, you can say, and the heart too was alive. The heart was also beating. This man, it means actually that this man was alive. Now he will die unless he is operated on, Sadav said. It is very necessary, according to Sadav, that this man should be operated, otherwise this man will die surely, considering the question is whether he will not die anyway. Now, according to Sadav, if he doesn't save it, if they throw him back into the sea will certainly kill this person. If they hand him over to the police, this man will be beaten to death in such a situation. So the question, according to Sadav, was whether this man will not die anyway. The question is here. And Hannah cried out in fear, don't try to save him. What if he should live? If this man is our enemy, and if you are trying to save him, what if he should live? If he lives, what happened then? He will be killing many more Japanese people. What if he should live? Sadao replied. He stood gazing there. He stood looking down on the motionless man. He too was looking down on this motionless man. And this man must have been some of extraordinary vitality or health or liveliness or zeal when he would have been in conscience, when he would be really in a situation to talk, even when he would be in a sensible state. Now, so this man must have been an extraordinary vitality, or he would have been dead by now. That was for sure. This man really had some good health, should be having really good health, and that is why after having such a long spending a long time in the sea, hit by a bullet too, and that it seemed actually certainly he would have been dead by now, but this man is still alive. It means this man would have been really very healthy. But then he was very young, perhaps not yet 25. And the age, here we see over here, it seems as if the age of this person is not more than 25. Now, you mean die from operation? The wife asks, says, and Hannah asks this so, and Sadao says yes. Now, Hannah considered this thing as doubtfully. She was a bit doubtful, and when she did not answer Sadao, turned away, and at any rate, something must be done with him. According to Sadao, he was a doctor, and that is why, at any rate, he was up to save him. And he said, at first, he must be washed. The first thing what is required for the patient is to be washed. He went quickly out of the room, and Hannah came behind him. Both went outside, and she did not wish to be left alone with that particular American person. So she also went along with the husband and with the white man. He was the first she had seen since when they both had left America, actually. And now he seemed to have nothing to do with any kind of American person or any people who have been from America. Now he seemed to have nothing to do with those whom he had known there. So, and this man isn't concerned or isn't one of those people who are actually must have been having in concern with Hannah. So it's not so. He was not one of them. Now, and here he was her enemy. Now, right in front of her was an American soldier over there, a Navy soldier over there, and he was her enemy simply because Japan and Americans were enemy. They both were fighting. Against each other, and hence they both were enemies. So obviously, in this way, we come to know that obviously Hannah was thinking in this way, that this man is her enemy, and a menace too. When we say menace means threat. It's a kind of a threat or a danger, whether if this man is living or whether this man is dead. This is certainly a threat for all of them, for the country also. If this man is living, it would be really a problematic situation for the country. If this man is living, would be a problematic situation for the family of Sadao. If this man is dead, then also it's a kind of a problem for the family, for Sadao's family. Now she turned to the nursery. Nursery is a place where children are actually kept, and she called Yumi. And Yumi, we know that she is the maid over here in the house, but the children heard her voice, and she had to go for a moment and smile at them and play with the baby, who was nearly 3 months old. She was playing over there. Yumi was playing with the 3-month-old child, and she was looking after that the baby goes to sleep. And over the baby's soft black hair, she gestured with her mouth, Yumi, come with me. And we come to know that Hannah called Yumi for the purpose, as both the husband and wife had agreed to call Yumi for the purpose of cleaning this white man. And we come to know that Yumi is being called over here. No, I'll put the baby to bed. Yumi replied, he is ready. He's ready means he's ready to go to sleep. He's ready, he's about to sleep. And I'll put the baby to bed. And she went with Yumi into the bedroom next to the nursery and stood with the boy in her arms while Yumi spread the sleeping quilts on the floor and laid the baby between them. So both of them, what they do they took the baby into the bedroom over there, and we come to know that Yumi went into the bedroom along with Hannah, and with the boy. Hannah had the boy in her hands, and Yumi actually spread the quilts over there on the floor and laid the baby between them. Now you might be thinking that why not on the bed? Why on the floor? Because it's something that the Japanese traditions match with the Indian traditions. Mostly Indians are habitual of sleeping on floor, and we see here also in Japanese tradition also people like to sleep on floor only. So they laid the child on the floor only, and on the sides they kept the sleeping quilt so that that the child doesn't turn to another side, and they laid the baby between them. And then what happened? Then Hannah led the way quickly and softly to the kitchen. Then they both moved to the kitchen, and the two servants were frightened at what their master had just told them. As we knew earlier, as we know earlier, we came to know that Sadav had told the servants, and the wife Hannah had gone to tell Yumi. So we come to know over here actually that Hannah over here led the way quickly and softly to the kitchen, and the servants were actually frightened what their master had said, what Sadav had said. The old gardener, who was really very old, who was also a house servant also, and pulled her few hairs on his upper lip. Means when we say pulled on the few hairs on his upper lip, it actually means he was a bit thoughtful and much more worried about it, what the master has said, what Dr. Sadav has said. Now the master ought not to heal the wound of this white man. According to this house servant, he should not be healing, he should not be curing this white man, this American person. He should not be healing. And he said bluntly to Hannah, he said bluntly. When we say use the word bluntly over here, it means uncompromisingly. He didn't wanted there should be no compromise on this fact, and it is sure that Sadav should hand over this man to the police, and he should not be taking care of this person. The white man ought to die also. This was perhaps the thought of this old man, that this white man should die. First of all, according to him, he was shot, and then the sea caught him, and that wounded him actually with the rocks. And if the master heals what the gun did and what the sea did, they will take revenge on us. They will means over here, certainly the police will take revenge on us if in such a way we hide an enemy in our own house. So it is for sure that certainly police will take us, will just catch us. So it's better that we should just hand him over to the police or let him die. Any of these things. No, I will tell him what you say, Hannah replied courteously or politely, much more respectfully. But she herself was also very frightened. She did not like this man in her own house, although she was not much superstitious. She was not a lady who was actually irrational or something like that, of that kind. And like as this old man was thinking in this way, if what the sea did, if what the gun did, and somehow this man got saved, and if we still try to save him, it's not good. So that it seems like as if this man, the old man, was actually trying to be superstitious. So why not being a doctor try to save a person if others were, or the situation did not help this man? So this seemed the superstitiousness of this person, of this old man who was the servant. Now, could it ever be well to help an enemy? Is it necessary to? Is it really good to help an enemy? Would it be beneficial to help an enemy? Nevertheless, she told Yumi to fetch hot water. First of all, Hannah told Yumi to fetch hot water and bring it to the room where the white man was, and she told Yumi to bring the hot water. And she went ahead and slid back the partitions, or partitions. When we say partitions over here, it means sliding the partitions means sliding the door panels. Like in many of the offices, there are door panels that are actually shifted and not opened. They are shifted from one side to another side. So she went ahead and slid back the partitions of the door panels, and Sada was not yet there. And Yumi followed and put down her wooden bucket over there. Now here, generally we keep the plastic buckets in our home, or the metal buckets in our home, but Japanese people utilize much more of the wood, and so they have the wooden buckets also. So Yumi put her the wooden bucket, and then she went over to the white man, and when she saw him that her thick lips folded themselves into stubbornness that seemed uncompromising, and she didn't wanted to actually clean this person, and in stubbornness, in uncooperativeness, what Yumi actually said in such a situation, when she saw that first of all this was a American person and he was dirty too. So let's read what the Yumi's reply was. Now Yumi said, I have never washed a white man, and she said, and I will not wash a dirty one now. So she simply said a no to it, that she won't be cleaning this American person who is actually the enemy of Japan, and who is also so dirty also. So she will not be cleaning this man. Now Hannah cried at her severely. You will do what your master commands you. She got angry, and she simply tries to just convince this lady just by scolding, thinking that way perhaps things might work in her way, but it went just opposite, and there was so fierce a look of resistance upon Yumi's round, dull face. Fierce means an aggressive look, a dangerous and a wild look on Yumi's round, dull face, that Hannah felt actually unreasonably afraid from her. And after all, if the servant should report something that was not as it happened, if the servants went away and they told the police, and the police comes over there, and they check it, and they found that this white man is over there, and these people are actually trying to help the American person, and this would be these people would be taken as traitors, and this work would be taken as treachery. So this is something very wrong. Now let's move ahead. Very well, she said with dignity. Hannah accepted with all dignity, with all prestige. Very well, okay, if you don't want to clean this person, so it's okay, you understand, we only want to bring him to senses so that we can turn him over as a prisoner. Was what we wanted, according to Hannah, was that they want this man actually to return him back to senses, and then it would be easy for them to hand him over to the police, hand him over as prisoner of war, and I will have nothing to do with it. Yumi said, I am a poor man, and it is not my business, it's not my work. And then please, Hannah said gently, return to your own work. It's better that you people return to your own, work, Yumi, and you do your own work. Now at once Yumi left the room, but this left Hannah only with the white man, and she was left alone with that white man over there, that American over there, and she might have been too afraid to stay, had not her anger at Yumi's stubbornness now sustained her. So all just was big was the trouble, and as she had just talked so in such a rude manner, with Yumi, that actually now she has to face such kind of a problem over here, and now she muttered to herself, "Stupid Yumi," she mumbled to herself. just because there was nobody else over there, she was speaking to herself, stupid Yumi. And is this anything but a man? This is only a man, and just not only a man, but a wounded helpman. And in this conviction, in this belief of her own superiority, that generally she's a Japanese and Japanese are much superior than the Americans, in this sense of superiority, and in this sense of superiority being the lady of the house, she bent impulsively, she bent quickly and spontaneously and untied the knotted rugs. Knotted rugs, my dear students, over here is being referred to the clothes of this white man, actually, that kept the white man covered. And when she had his breast bare, she dipped the common clean breast bare, and she had when she had his breast bare, she dipped the common small clean towel that Yumi had brought into steaming hot water and washed his face carefully. She tried to wash the face carefully, and in this way, and washed his face carefully, and then the men's skin, though the rough with exposure, was of a fine texture. And it could be seen that this man is looking very lovely, and he was a blonde person, and must have been very blonde when he was a child. Blonde means fair, and he must have been a blonde when he would have been a child. And we say blonde also, we generally also mean that having the blonde face also means ki having blonde hair, means with goldenish kind of hair. With this, we come to the end of the part 2 explanation of this chapter. Thank you.